I'm at the Discovery Centre on the beautiful Halifax waterfront, and today I'm talking to Dov Berkovicki, who's the president and CEO. And we're in what is called the Immersive Dome. And I have to say, it's very, very impressive. Perhaps you can give us a little bit of background about how it came about and what type of shows are being performed here or shown here?
Sure, yeah. No, thanks, Sandy. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
And, they used to call this affectionately Dov's Dome, the facility we're sitting in right now, because it was a dream. It was a dream to have a full-fledged planetarium. And actually, I joke about it. I call it the artist formerly known as a planetarium, just like Prince.
Just like Prince.
And because the technology has evolved so much in the field of domes and dome theaters, showing films in 4K, and anything that's available, say, to the Hubble telescope would be within our data set, but it's not just the cosmos that we're revealing in this dome. We're actually showing what are the impacts of climate change, things like backyard science, what kind of animals are around us in Nova Scotia. We're even working with the Indigenous communities across Canada to actually interpret the night sky from their lens and two-eyed seeing, and have worked with some local folks to do that. So it's a very diverse set of films that we show here. So, I think the Discovery Centre, like many of the museums in Nova Scotia, we're a science center, so we're a little bit different than your traditional museum. We're not collections-based. We deal with extreme hands-on experiences, very interactive, engaging, and the premise that this was built on really started with our founders. They founded the center in 1985, and really all it was then was a van with some scientists that would travel around the province, so that was our original roots. They would go into schools and communities and gyms and community centers and showcase the wonders of science to the community. But eventually that evolved into a physical facility in the old Woolworth space in Scotia Square. About 5,000 square feet was the first physical location, rented space. And then in 1995, following the G7 summit, we moved to our location on Barrington Street, our old location. It was 2 floors, about 20,000 square feet. And many people would ask me, how do you fit 80,000 people a year into this facility? So it was literally bursting at the seams, and we knew over time, and I started with the center in 2007, so I've now been with Discovery Centre for 15 years.
Time flies.
It goes like that.
Yeah.
And so we realized at the time that with the the amount of visitation and the size of the space and all the development going on downtown, we needed a new location. It really wasn't that we started the search for the new location in earnest until 2010. After having a few meetings with local real estate developers and so on, we found Nova Scotia Power to be a very generous supporter. And the actual building we're in affectionately was called Block D at the time, and it was a space that they donated to us rent-free for 25 years, and that was solidified in around 2014. And so we engaged in a very aggressive capital campaign, a race to the finish, and we're able to open the center, the new center that we're having our wonderful journey and tour in today in February 2017, and the dome was a big part of it. The dome is one of a kind.
I noticed that it is multi-floored. So what can people expect to see when they come here in terms of all the different floors that are available here at the Discovery Centre?
A lot.
I imagine so, yeah.
It's 40,000 square feet in 4 floors, and we've created themes. And again, themes that are seemingly on the surface, the basic principles. We have a health gallery, the MetaV Health Gallery. This place couldn't have happened without, the private sector support. And we are a private charity. And so this ongoing sponsorship helps us maintain and keep the exhibits in full repair. And you would agree, the place is 5 years old. Imagine 200,000 people a year coming through, kids hitting things, running around. It looks brand new. So the team's done a great job here. But the sponsors are part of the team as well. So we also have a RBC Someday Street Gallery on the 3rd floor. That's for parents with young kids. We've recreated a typical Nova Scotia town with a town clock, a farm, the McCain Farm, the Sobeys grocery store. So when the kids come in, we just let them play. Just have fun, make believe. And, you know, role playing is very important to both children and adults. You know, if you're training for, especially if you're an adult, you're training for a certain skill or activity, it's always better to do the dry runs. Like, what does it feel like to do it? So the same thing for kids, and what we've, you know, within that floor, and everything about the center, all 4 floors, 40,000 square feet, is inspiring curiosity. And once you're curious, you get engaged. And once you get engaged, you take action. And then once you take action, you have a personal transformation. So everything that we do throughout the center, built around STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So each of the galleries has that component to it. And if you went to the Innovation Lab, really is an area for families to put their phones down. Don't look at your texts and Snapchat and Instagram. Get together and learn how electricity works, how to build a circuit loop, turn on a light by building circuits, or play music. Learn how to code, basic coding. We have a coding area. We have the 3D printer so people can create their own 3D designs. In fact, we had I'll never forget one of the best designs I've ever seen. We had one of our team developed a high-powered telescope with a 3D printer. It's incredible, and it's a working telescope. It's incredible some of the stuff you can do with the technology. So we try to showcase the latest technology, and families are able to interact and play together. But when you leave the Innovation Lab, you've got the traveling exhibit gallery. So right now, we have an exhibit designed and built by Science North in Sudbury, Ontario. It's basically on the science of extreme sports. And so you're learning like what snowboarders go through, how their adrenaline pumps through their veins, the safety of extreme sports, how they stay safe, and all the science behind these sports. So it's incredible. So that's, you know, one great exhibit, but we try to bring one in every 3 to 4 months. That's what keeps the visitors coming back. That's like the kind of the bellwether, the draw. And then our existing exhibits, we upgrade all the time. We're always changing the content, refreshing. So we draw them in with the traveling, but then they say, oh, it is changing. You know, it's not the same thing all the time. Our next exhibit coming up is called The Science of Racism, produced by the Ontario Science Centre. So we will get into the social sciences as we do this. And you think about what's gone on in the world, global viral problems. You look at what happened in the States with Black Lives Matter and that movement, and what happened here in Canada, our own tragedy around Indigenous communities. Yes. So we wanted to showcase why racism happens, how we can stop it, how we can, you know, really get into those microaggressions that they talk about with racism, or our personal biases, and break those down. But do it in a way that is not preaching to you. Do it in a way that presents the facts, or you make decisions, or you actually come to transformation when you have your own personal journey, not by somebody telling you, for example, on climate change, you took a 10-minute shower, make sure it's only 5 minutes to save water.
Well, that just makes people resentful.
We want you to come to that conclusion yourself.
I'm with Ruth Monroe, and I'm in the Energy Gallery. Now, just for a point of fact, if you look above me, you can see the film crew who's actually filming us. Wave. Right? There you go. Everybody wave. So perhaps you'd like to tell me a little bit about the gallery, and particularly considering that energy seems to be in the news a lot lately.
Absolutely. So we are in the energy gallery, and this is our infrared camera. So you can't really see it from back here, but there's a little camera here with a special lens and a detector in it that allows us to see infrared light. So infrared is the part of the spectrum of light that is where heat energy is detected. In an exhibit like this and in the gallery as a whole, we're trying to get people an inside story of energy, some fundamentals of how it works, and then think about it in the real world. So where does our energy come from in Nova Scotia? And as you mentioned, energy is in the news. It's something that we need and will continue to need more of. So this gallery is really about kind of understanding some of those basics and also how that applies to us in our homes and our daily lives.
Now, my understanding is that, you don't want to say it, but some energy is not as clean as other energies.
So it's a really good question. We think about what we call an energy mix. So where are the sources of energy coming from? Where are those sources that are powering our lives? So obviously here in Nova Scotia, we do make use of some wind energy. There's talk obviously of tidal energy. We've got solar coming onto the scene. Hydro's obviously something that's been in the news. And obviously we still rely on coal, oil and gas as well. So we think of coal, oil and gas as fossil fuels. And so typically they might be considered unclean just because of one of the byproducts from burning them in order to generate electricity, or is obviously carbon dioxide, which is the major contributor to climate change. So that's the kind of idea of clean and unclean energy. But really, in any kind of modern society, it's about having a mix that sustains the society and is there on demand when you need it.
Now, we're at an interactive exhibit, and perhaps you can tell me what this is, because to my mind, it resembles a Hot Wheels track. And I don't see Hot Wheels.
And I'm glad that you think that. It's meant to be appealing, especially to younger children. And a lot of what we're trying to do is engage people with concepts interactively, as you said. So this is really a great interactive for some of our younger guests. And what it is it's an interactive all about mechanical or kinetic energy and watching how it transfers this kind of potential energy as we've got 3 balls along the top of these 3 tracks, just held back, waiting for release, and watching what happens to them, how they move, where they end up on the tracks, and challenging our visitors to kind of guess which one's going to stop moving first, which one's going to go for the longest, and then kind of thinking about why that happens.
So it's a gambling game.
It kind of could be, but it's a really, really kind of good example of something where we want to be hands-on with the learning rather than theoretical. And realistically here, what we're looking at is more kind of scientific level. We're taking our potential energy, changing it into kinetic energy, and eventually, as the balls come to rest, that movement energy has been transferred into heat in terms of friction between the balls and the track. Now, obviously, if you're a 5-year-old, you're not maybe getting all of that, but you're starting to get that real-world experience with the track design and the balls. Do you want to give it a go?
I'm nervous. Right, so how do I do this?
Okay, so the gray handle at the top, if you just bring it forward, tip it towards me, and they should go.
Whee! All right, which one's going to stop?
What do you think? Which one first?
This one.
The one at the back?
The one on the back.
Yeah.
Don't let me down.
And this is
we have a winner.
Very
cool. Unless this one sneaks in.
Yeah.
Where's my prize?
The prize is the enjoyment of doing this.
Yes, that's true enough.
But it's funny you said Hot Wheels because it does relate to lots of things in real life. So roller coaster design, takes into effect the idea of that mass of the car, the coaster car, and the slopes that are involved and the twists and turns, and make sure that there's enough of that potential energy at the top of that holding point on the coaster.
You don't get stuck, right?
Right,
Yeah.
so that you've got enough transfer into kinetic to get you around the loop-de-loop. So it's all kind of coming back to these kind of physics principles, and this is just a kind of fun way of playing with those.
we're here now with Nicole Jessup at one of these interactive exhibits. Now, for me personally, I do know that we're tactile. We like to touch things. Right?
Yeah.
For example, I got a Kindle one time for books, but I can't use it. Because for me, I have to feel the pages when I turn.
A physical
right?
book is a lot
to
different.
touch it, right?
For
and,
sure.
and I could see why the children would just love this. You know, comes the octopus. You know, here we go. Oh, look out for the tugboat! Look out! Right? So I could see where they would love this, right? And so it must be one of the more popular interactive displays here.
It is, for sure. Kids come in and they come directly to what we call our stream table. It is one of the more hands-on elements at the Discovery Center. I mean, for kids, it's hard to beat running water and sand. It doesn't get much better than that. So this exhibit is to sort of mimic what happens, especially in our coastal ecosystems with running water, erosion, the formation of river deltas and floodplains. And for a lot of kids, we like to tie it back to climate change, what rising sea levels might do to some of our coastal communities. So, you know, we encourage children to build up an island, and they can, you know, put their little community on the land here, and then as the water flows, it sort of chips away at that coastline, and you can notice maybe
can
what would
actually
happen.
see it.
Yeah, it starts to form quite quickly, and you know, we get them to experiment with building a dam of sand and seeing that eventually the sand will wash away, the stream will take it down the river, and they can see sort of the real life impacts that running water has on landscapes.
You can actually see, you know, it's from a child's mind, I can almost see it. You could see the erosion.
Yeah.
It will slowly take it down, right?
Yeah, for sure. And the colored sand helps as well. You can see sort of some of that heavier stuff gets pushed down and some of the lighter sand sticks around.
And imagine these don't hurt either, right?
It's always fun to have a tactile experience sort of at the beginning of the visit, and it gets them more in that curious mindset. It gets them thinking with their hands and their brain as well, and gets them engaged for the remainder of their visit here at the Discovery Center.
Well, for someone my age, it might be a little too late.
Yeah,
You know,
it's never too
it's
late.
still good to learn, right?
Never too late
It
to learn
still is
something
good
new.
to learn. Now, we're here with Ruth again at the Flight Gallery, and I can see a mock-up of a plane behind me, so perhaps you'd like to tell us a little bit about this gallery?
For sure, Sandy. So this is our Piper Cub. So it's a model or a mock-up of a Piper Cub, and it's really the heart of the gallery. Obviously, there's some flight simulators, so you can practice your piloting skills. It's a short span of human history that flight has evolved. So there's a lot of technology involved, there's a lot of sophisticated systems, but there are also a lot of kind of fun basics that you can get hands-on with. One of them, of course, is building a paper airplane. There's a lot to that process, a lot
I
involved.
could never make one, so maybe you could be kind enough to show me what I was doing wrong in my misspent youth, and maybe we could make one that will actually fly.
I have no doubt, I have full confidence that you'll be able
Well,
to
you
make
haven't
a
seen me
flying
make
plane.
one.
Well, let's try it out.
Let's go, and I'll
All
follow
right.
whatever you do.
Okay, come on over here then. All right, we are obviously going to start off with some paper. So we've got a couple of choices. There's a variety of planes in the gallery, but over here we've got the basic plane or the superjet.
Oh,
Now-
I think I better go with the basic.
Oh no, I'm going to superjet. I know you can do it.
All right,
Okay, and now we're going to build the same plane today,
the Superjet.
the superjet.
Yours will fly, mine won't.
Well, you know what? Why don't I tell you this? You build the superjet, I'll build the basic plane, and we can see how they fly in our plane launcher.
All right.
Because we'll be able to test two different designs.
All right.
Same material. So the variable here is going to be the design that we use. We both start the same way, Sandy. So we're going to fold along this edge here, number 1 or A on the plans there, just into
I'm
the
just
center
putting this
line.
into the center.
Absolutely. So we're just starting to form the front of the plane there. We're starting to form that nose. And straight away, we're going to deviate slightly. So your design, the superjet, is going to do another fold very similar along this line. So this edge now folds into the center.
So this-
My plane does
This will
something
fold
different.
in like this to the center?
Exactly. So you're kind of making a steeper nose there. So that is one of the main kind of differences with this design. I'm going to.
That's where the black box is, right?
That's that's right. That's where our pilot's going.
Yeah.
Now there's no guidance system on these or pilot involved. So we are going to use our launcher to keep them straight there.
I don't think mine's gonna.
That is looking good.
All right.
All right. So your next step actually is going to be basically you're going to flip your plane over and then you're going to fold in half along that center line.
So just to here.
So you're going to, fold the whole thing in half. So kind of like you're folding a book close there along that middle line.
So something like this.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm spending so much time on helping you. I feel
Oh, I
like
imagine you've done this before.
Oh,
I
I don't
imagine
know.
You're quick at it, right?
I feel like
All right. This isn't your first airplane.
this is not my first airplane, but I feel like I'm setting myself up for a fall there by
So
saying
this
that.
one goes to this here or here?
So you're close there, Sandy. Thinking you're good. You keep doing what you're doing,
So it
and
goes
then we'll
right to the
fold it
middle?
in half to finish off. Okay, I'm going to pop mine to the side there,
This goes into the middle.
and then, all right, this is a super jet. All right, so the final thing that we're going to do is, and I might help you a little bit with this
Sure,
if you
sure.
don't mind.
I need all the help I can get.
Oh,
Ask
I
my
don't know.
friends.
I'm going to fold this like so.
All right.
You can blame me now because I put my
Well, I'm good at
my
that.
fold on that. So if it doesn't work, it's my fault. This final
Well, I'm
fold.
good for blaming other people.
Okay, so you have a fairly streamlined looking
That's
jet,
the best paper plane I've ever made.
and you know what? I feel there's a definite difference in the design here.
Mine's sleek and yours isn't.
That's the kindest way of saying it. So of course now we have to test them out, and we've got a
Yes.
plane launcher over there that's going to help us do just that.
Let's do it. Okay, Ruth, here we go. Let's see if this is a good one. Ready? 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Whee! I got 2 meters. Eat that.
Not bad at all. Okay, so this is our basic plane. All right.
3, 2, 1. Oh, I cut an updraft.
You win. You definitely win. But
This
it's,
was a lot of fun, I have to say. It really was.
Good.
I imagine the children listen to this.
they do indeed.
Has anybody ever got to 6 meters?
Well, we have some other designs a little more advanced, and they have reached that far. But it's a great way to show what different design will do with the same materials. Yeah, you know, maybe you
Well,
got
I'll
a
go
career in aircraft design.
I'll go home and practice and maybe we'll give it another go.
Grand.